Afternoon, everyone. I'm Grisha from Devi Sansthan. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome you to Detox, an inspiring initiative of Devi Sansthan. Detox stands for Disruptive Talks, and true to its name, it aims to disrupt the conventional ways of thinking and operating in education. Through these sessions, we intend to spark meaningful conversation that challenge norms, inspire change, and pave the way for solutions to address disruptive challenges in education. The primary goal of Detox is to create a unified front of committed individuals and organizations working together to eradicate illiteracy, a challenge that continues to plague our society. Through Detox, we aim to gather collective commitment from educators, leaders, and change makers to strengthen in its threat in addressing the issue. Devi Sansthan, Dignity Education Vision International, is a non-profit organization founded in 1992 to provide a quality education for underprivileged communities by creating scalable, swift, and effective pedagogies, Alpha. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Arun Arora, a head and director of Chetak Foundation. He brings over 38 years of experience in communication, CSR, ESG, sustainability, education, and policy advocacy. Applications at top organizations like Maruti Suzuki, GMR, GSPL, Vedanta, and Crime Oil and Gas. Arun is a published author known for The Power of Reading and JKS, the Logistic Man of India. He also launched he also launched Outlook Launch, India's first airport magazine. He's been widely recognized with awards including PRCI Communicator of the Year 2022, Mahatma Award for CSR and Sustainability 2022, and was influential game changers in PR 2024. We're honored to have him with us today. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Arun Arora. At this point, it is my great pleasure to hand over the session to Sir Nixon Joseph, who will guide the discussion with Mr. Arun Arora. Nixon Joseph is a Group Executive Director of Devi Sansthan. Just before joining us, he was the President of SBI Foundation. He held positions as CEO of SBI Tokyo Branch and Manager Operator of SBI Bharat. He is in the board of Yes Bank Foundation and board of
Is it at my end? I'm not able to occasionally get Grisha. Hello?
Am I audible now?
Yes, I think in between, Mr. Nixon, were you able to, was it the problem my end or at your end? Are you able to hear Grisha?
Nixon sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, kindly go ahead.
Okay. With that, I humbly request Sir Nixon Joseph to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Grisha. And Mr. Arun Arora, very happy to have you here at Detox. I know Chetak Foundation is involved in a lot of CSR activities on various themes. But I would like to know from you, how does Chetak Foundation define its core mission when it comes to education and social impact?
Thank you very much, Mr. Nixon. I say, great honor and pleasure for me to join Disruptive Talks. And I was wondering, how was I chosen for this? I'm known to give disruptive ideas. Perhaps someone discovered that knack in me to invite me for Disruptive Talks, being organized by Devi Sansthan. I'm really honored and privileged to be joining here today. And Mr. Nixon, it's such a pleasure to be interacting with you. You've been a veteran in CSR, and I'll look forward to interacting with you over next 1 hour. Coming to Chetak Foundation, we set up Chetak Foundation about 5 years ago as a tribute to the founder of Chetak Logistics. That is a very interesting story. One Mr. Jaykaran Sharma, who was born in a small village in Haryana in a farmer's family, and he was a college dropout. He studied till ninth standard and he dropped out of college. And with his passion and hard work, he went on to set up one of the largest logistics company in India. And he was also one of the biggest philanthropists. During his time, there was no concept of CSR per se, so people used to do philanthropy. He believed in growing together along with communities. He set up his own company, and there were a lot of trucks that he plied during his transportation days. And you'll be surprised to know that he encouraged his truck drivers to set up their own transport companies. That was the kind of philanthropic mindset he had. Fortunately, Government of India issued a postal stamp to honor him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we lost him in 2020, and as a tribute to him, we set up what is called Chetak Foundation, wherein the vision and mission of Chetak Foundation essentially is summarized into this, that we wish to make a positive impact on the lives of underprivileged community, especially focusing on underprivileged truck drivers and their families. And unfortunately or fortunately, we have this big community of truck drivers who tend to travel almost 20 to 25 days in a month being away from their families. Sometimes their families and especially children get neglected, and sometimes they are deprived of education. So education is one focus area that we have as board of director decided to the core area of focus for Chetak Foundation. So that is how the linkage of focusing on education for children
Mhm.
and even people who are into juvenile age category, making them employable is what Chetak Foundation focuses on as one of the major focus areas.
Okay. So, why is foundational literacy and numeracy so important for the communities you work with?
Very interesting question, Mr. Nixon. I was just going through some data, and as the literacy levels in India are rising at an impressive pace over the last few years, but unfortunately, when you do a deep dive into that data, we discovered that even now, students who are studying in third standard or fifth standard, they're not able to properly read what is being taught in class one or class two. So that is a gap, huge gap between what is actually the literacy number and how capable these students are. And interestingly, even today, again, unfortunately, children are still considered as extended arms of their parents for earning livelihood,
Mhm.
which deprives them of a right to education, which is a fundamental right as per the Constitution of India, as per Article 21A. All the children are have fundamental rights to education, but since due to poverty, many families they use their children as extended hand for earning livelihood. Now, if you even if you look at the reality of life, that these children have to contribute some bit to their parents in putting together their bread and butter, why don't we provide them basic learning, basic foundational learning, and numeracy? The other day, I got invited to your August forum being organized by Devi Foundation, the leadership conclave, and I shared very interesting example. I'll quote it here again for the benefit of the podcast viewers. When you go to buy a vegetable, you sometimes you see a small boy selling vegetable, and you ask him to give three quarter of a three quarter of a kg of, say, for instance, potatoes, and potatoes are priced, say, for instance, at 36 rupees to a kg. Now, as he's weighing whatever you want to buy, suddenly you find this is 100 grams extra. So he'll immediately put 100 grams on the other side where he's putting the potatoes. And within no time, he'll be able to calculate. Fortunately, Indians are bestowed with good brain from as far as mathematical ability is concerned. It's only the question of honing that ability that God has provided to us Indians. And fortunately, India's education system, we have very, very basic, simple education system wherein we are asked to memorize tables, asked to memorize what is called paharas, which increases our mental ability. Now, is the question of, in case God has given us that ability to children to learn very quickly, especially the mathematical part, then what remains is the opportunity to be given to these children. So are these children being given that opportunity? We can say that government of India is doing a lot of work, but what is that we are doing? What is that social sector is doing, what is that educational sector is doing. For instance, Devi Sansthan is doing an amazing job uh, catering to more than 63,000 students, and in addition to that, catering to thousands of more underprivileged children. They have devised this alpha methodology for making learning so simple. Now, NGOs play a part in implementing these disruptive ideas. Government of India can support from their educational policies. But what is that corporates can do in helping these educational institutions and NGOs and Government of India in implementing these policies? For instance, somebody can take responsibility for bringing about this change, but this expenditure relating to teaching material, learning material, how does that come from? The corporates can choose to fund these initiatives. For instance, many corporates, and I worked with some of the top corporates in India. For instance, I worked with Maruti and Escorts and GMR and Jindal Steel and Power and GVK, Kane Oil and Gas, Vedanta, Hindustan Zinc, Bharat Aluminium. And many of these corporates had education as one of the identified area of focus for their CSR activities. Now, CSR policies are also evolving all the time. Does Government of India allow these expenditures to be booked under CSR? That definition has to be widened. For instance, if you're making effort, you have to first of all begin with your need assessment, followed by your intervention, followed by your impact assessment, then submit those documents to avail of your CSR spend benefit. Now, why are corporate only focusing on those benefit? Can't they simply align with credible NGOs and credible educational institution in supplementing their effort in bringing about this FLN to large children population of India? So as we go along, I'll be happy to share some more.
Okay, thank
I get passionate, so you please interrupt me whenever you feel like.
you. So, how can CSR efforts contribute to long-term educational change?
I'll give you a very small example. For instance, we're working with Chetak now. Chetak, like I mentioned, education besides uh, health and road safety, education is also a focus area that we work for. So we sponsor some poor children for their education, especially girl students who choose to pursue logistics as a career option, because we realize that in the logistics sector there is a major uh, uh, difference between the sex ratio, gender ratio when it comes to people who pursue, girls who pursue logistics. Very, very few girls who pursue logistics. So we've chosen this as one of the interventions. But simpler intervention that I wanted to share to you about was we have 2 million square feet of warehouse space across spread across India. Okay, and now we have a lot of villages who have these FLN interventions. Now we offer our space for conducting certain educational workshop for children wherein children can come and study. So we have to find innovative ways of offering whatever you have on the table and clubbing it with whatever traits. For instance, when I was working with Vedanta, we converted those Nandghars into this Anganwadis into Nandghar, model Nandghars. Okay, so this was a very simple operation wherein we converting a given Anganwadi, which was in dilapidated state, into state-of-the-art, modern, high-tech learning space for children. Similarly, when we offer warehousing space from Chetak Logistics or Chetak Foundation for that matter, we invite communities, we invite panchayat, we invite local teachers, and we invite local students who can come and hold their class there, who can do their interesting practices there. In addition to that, it's not just teaching them basic learnings, can be explore using innovative method of teaching. For instance, at one point of time we used nukkad natak as a mode of learning. For instance, I was attending the workshop that Devi Foundation had organized the other way, and you shared about the technique, alpha technique that we put together. We made learning very interesting for the children. Like I said, we fortunately have very good IQ and very good mathematical ability inborn amongst Indian kids. And given the kind of gaming of that learning that you have put together, similar thing we attempted by using theater as a form of learning, nukkad natak as a form of learning, music as a form of learning. For instance, traditionally, Indian legacy has been carried forward for centuries through music and learnings, music and uh, storytelling. For instance, how was Ramayana communicated across generations through
Mm.
through singing, through stanza singing. All the Upanishad, they were carried forward across generation through singing. So, in case we can look at innovative ways of imparting education through street plays, theater, music, learning, and certain gaming practices like you have tried in under Alpha, then I'm sure we can cover a lot of people. Not only we can include a lot of children, we can make it interesting for them to learn quickly. And interestingly, what happens is once these people learn, then they put these things to use. Then they become street smart, then they are able to face the world better. This is really amazing. This is one of the major things that we need to perhaps implement. And at Chetak, we are making this small effort, and we'll be delighted to tie up with any like minded NGOs or like minded government departments or corporates to take this forward.
Okay. You had participated in our leadership conclave on foundational literacy, and you have also seen how Alpha is able to skill children in FLN and numeracy skills. So, how do you think learning for all pedagogy, which has been found by Davis and Stan, how do you think it is capable enough to impact FLN at a large scale and also make a dent in the Indian educational landscape?
I'll make a couple of observations, my quick observations and feedback. One, I became the fan of Alpha after
Okay,
I visited your facilities. Amazing initiative
thank you.
and totally selfless, really amazing initiative. And couple of observations that I wanted to share was it deserves to be spread across India. It needs to be scaled up. I think it needs government recognition. Maybe
Yes.
the kind of methods that you're using can be made compulsory for teachers across India who have to undergo this training program and impart training in this using the tools that you have created so painstakingly. That is number one. Number two, just one interesting observation. I just felt that teacher teachers is one community that we are focusing on, who are directly dealing with the students. In addition to that, can we also induct parents in some form during this process? You have created amazing methodology for conducting these learnings for the school children, especially FLN. Now, in case we can also induct parents in addition to teachers. Okay, so when it comes to teachers, that becomes a formal learning. But in case we can also have similar training, especially earmark designed for parents, then maybe it can begin sooner, even from home. Okay, what happens is even now when we have small kids at home, we tend to show them various things: A for apple, B for bat, B, C for
Yes.
cat, all that. But there is just an amazing methodology that you have already created. Can this be extended, customized to parents' requirement, so that then it's this learning starts from home? So that was one observation,
Mhm.
and that was one thought that occurred to me. You're doing great job for the teachers anyway, and there's a need for the corporates to support training of teachers, because in case we were to train teachers across India on these methods, then the lot of funds will be required, a lot of infrastructure support will be required. Like I was mentioning, for instance, unrelated organizations like Chetak Logistics, we have warehouses, but whatever idle space we have, can we extend it to organization like yours to conduct such workshop for teachers? Or perhaps in case something can be customized and designed for parents, perhaps for the parents also. And one more suggestion that I wanted to give was, after inducting teachers and parents, can we also induct communities into this?
Okay.
For instance, just visualize a panchayat, a gram panchayat. So wherever these things are being conducted, is community involved in this? Can we give them some role?
Okay.
Even if you give them credit, doesn't matter. Let them take credit. Can they come and recognize teacher? Can they come and recognize those students? So they have a sense of ownership. So it'll be a triple attack on this intervention, wherein you have students, you have teachers, you have parents, and you have communities as well. If this comes about, then I think the spread will be far easier and far smoother and far wider.
Good. A
So I
very
hope,
good suggestions you are
yeah,
giving.
I hope we can, use some of these suggestions.
Thank you. Thank you for those suggestions.
Yeah,
And I think we will consider implementing these. In fact, we are having talks with parents already. But as you suggested, we may extend it to the communities also. Thank you for that suggestion.
my pleasure, my pleasure.
How
And
do you see partnerships between corporates, NGOs, and the governments helping scale impactful education models?
Uh, I think good question. I wanted to bring this up that we need to work together. We don't have to see NGOs as our vendors who will implement project. They have to be seen as partners. And I'm now talking like a corporate. Corporates usually tend to see NGOs as vendors. They'll make them, they'll treat them like vendors. They have to qualify. They have to do this. There's a basic lack of trust. There are a lot of NGOs who are working very hard on ground in the villages, and they have capability and expertise. All the corporates may not have that kind of expertise. So we have to begin by trusting those NGOs, number one. Number two, let us choose people who specialize in that kind of job. So if there are some people who are specializing in FLN, let's focus on supporting them. Number three, when you spoke about the government of India, now government of India has taken a lot of interventions relating to making CSR laws legally more sound. Okay, so I'm sure there is best intention on their part to make it legally sound so that there are no loopholes. Because unfortunately, some of the NGOs, very few NGOs, who have given a bad name to this profession. Very, very unfortunate. That is why government of India had to come so seriously and hit back with very, very strict CSR laws. The result, the unfortunate byproduct of this development was that some of the genuine NGOs could not get funding. Some of the corporates became lazy and they chose lazier option to indulge and throw their money at. Some of them will be dumping money into CM relief fund, PM relief fund, instead of actually focusing on their chosen and decided areas of CSR focus areas. They said, okay, yeah, in case we do this, somebody will come and doubt, somebody will come and audit, we'll have to do this straight away. Lazy option is, let me dump some money in PM's relief fund. There'll be no questions asked, or CM's relief fund. I'm being very painfully honest, and I may not be appreciated by some people. The fact is, some corporates are choosing this lazy option of simply putting money so that there's no audit later, there's no hard work to be required to be done. On the other hand, there are whole lot of corporates who are keen to work in their areas, and education is one of the focus areas for many corporates. So therefore, I request also Government of India to make these laws so that they allow corporates who support NGOs and educational institutions like Devi Sansthan, who are actually working on ground, doing a lot of research, doing a lot of hard work. Therefore, they're spending a lot of money. So, in case as a corporate, if I'm funding organization like yours, then it is considered under CSR spends.
Hmm.
Because from corporate's perspective, to convince the top management that I'm spending this money and it'll be booked under that so-called 2% spend that they're allowed to. So if government of India can be little more liberal in allowing this to happen, instead of making it difficult for corporates to spend that money, then that connect will be slightly better. So I'm pained to be saying it, but those bureaucratic hurdles sometimes make corporate CSR funds move away from the genuine NGOs to somewhere where there's no dearth of fund. There's no dearth of fund with government of India or state governments, but still a lot of corporates are dumping their CSR funds for those things.
No, it's a good observation. I also agree with that. What are the initiatives of Chetak Foundation towards building up FLN skills?
Yeah, I think very good idea, very good question, and I was about to come to my next suggestion, which also aligns with what we do at Chetak. For instance, what we're doing at Chetak is Uh, whenever a new set of engineers or MBAs join Chetak organization, okay, now what happens is all the engineers, MBAs, and graduates, when they join a new company, they undergo an orientation program.
Yes.
Some companies it is 6 months, some company it is 1 year, railways it is 2 years. Okay, so when they go through all the functions, they'll go to HR, they'll go to quality, finance, marketing, but they'll not go to CSR.
Hmm.
Surprisingly. So now, in my previous organization at Vedanta also, and here at Chetak also, now what we've done is we've put CSR as part of the orientation program, wherein they actually get to spend as volunteers
Okay.
some time in CSR, working on ground, implementing those interventions that
Hmm.
Chetak is currently working on.
Okay.
And I give this suggestion to Devi Sansthan also. In fact, I was talking to your colleague Rajiv from Devi Sansthan, and he introduced me to two young girls from Devi Sansthan. And I asked them, "What do you do?" They are saying, "We just passed out 12th, and we are one of them was joining law, and another one was joining
Hmm.
psychology." Now, interestingly, these girls were volunteering during the event. So this is what I suggest that when FLN has to be implemented, can we get senior students to volunteer to help in this program? And not only this, make it compulsory for all schools,
Okay.
all colleges, all corporates to have volunteering as one of the compulsory interventions wherein they at least support some CSR interventions. And just imagine you have 63,000 students at Devi Sansthan, right? In case all the senior students choose to volunteer to help this intervention, they'll be helping so many small students.
True.
And if you look at the number of students across India in all schools, and in case government of India or corporates or NGOs put together can bring in the concept of volunteerism for this, suddenly CSR scope and scalability will be such a such an amazing thing to happen. And in fact, this is what we do at Chetak, that we get these new joinees, and not only new joinees. In fact, somebody was asking me the other day, how big is your CSR team? I said our CSR team is as big as Chetak's total manpower, because we get all the employees to volunteer for CSR activities.
Okay.
And the kind of sense of achievement they have, kind of happiness they get by spending some time in implementing those CSR interventions
Yes.
is really amazing. Really, really amazing. In fact, surprisingly, we were doing this intervention for truck drivers. Unfortunately, we found some uh, embarrassing data that more than half of the truck drivers in India do not have eyesight good enough to be able to drive on the road, and they're happily driving across India. So we decided on this intervention wherein we'll be checking their eyesight and we'll be providing them free spectacles. And we had to do it at such a big scale. We started with our drivers, then we inducted all other transporters, and then we offered it to truck drivers across India. This number runs into millions. So
Hmm.
we found some like-minded organization like Vision Spring and others, India side Vision Spring, and together we started checking eyesights and providing free spectacles. In the meanwhile, some of our employees volunteered, and they were so good. They trained into optometry, and they started testing eyesights. They got certification, and they're doing it on their own now. We bought our own machines also because we had to scale it up. Similarly, when we were working on these schools, we set up school. In fact, incidentally, this the founders belong to a very small village, Ginger in Haryana, and they sort of set up a lot of small schools there. There never used to be any schools there. They set up schools there. So we are trying some of these volunteers who go spend time there, teaching them FLN. In fact, this needs to be organized a little bit. In fact, after visiting Devi, I had this idea that maybe some of the teachers who are working in some of our schools run by Chetak Foundation, they
Hmm.
can be trained in some of these techniques, because
True.
honestly, they're not quite familiar with these techniques. And so much work has gone. Therefore, coming back to your question, there is this greater need for collaboration. So much work
Yes.
has happened in this area, which needs to be shared with others, because
Yes.
there are teachers across India, and very few of them will be equipped with this knowledge, and they'll be privileged to know this. And once this is spread across India, and if it requires certain resources, then we should join hands to spread this message across and this methodology across.
Thank you. So these days, be it CSR donors or NGOs, all of us are bothered about or concerned about impact of our programs. So, how does the Chetak Foundation measure and communicate the impact of its educational initiatives?
Very, I think, very fair thing. Sometime NGOs are not equipped to do impact analysis, and sometimes if they're equipped to do it, then auditors feel they should have independent auditor to
Yes.
do the impact assessment. Sometime reporting mechanism also requires some independent body to do the impact analysis, and this goes with the simple belief that uh, whatever cannot be measured should not be done. So therefore, in case we're making any effort, there needs to be some form of measurement, and that is what we have attempted at. Because CSR activities are very fluid, like communication activities, PR activities, and CSR activities. These are very very fluid and very difficult to measure. But therefore, we need to make these measurement metrics for each and everything. For instance, I'll give you a couple of examples on both education and safety thing. Uh, Now, when we started this need assessment for introducing this uh, eye health intervention for truck drivers, then we got data relating to number of small incidents, large incidents, fatal incidents for a given period of time. And we then try to figure out how much is attributed to poor eyesight, because there are other external factors also. And after that, then we introduce this intervention of checking their eyesight, giving them spectacles, making their eyes almost 6 by 6, and measuring that data in those areas where they drive in terms of minor incidents, major incident fatalities. These numbers, fortunately, over the next last 5 years have come down substantially. So that is one positive thing. We can't take the entire credit because, like I mentioned, only eyesight is not the only contributing factor, but there are other factors also. Road infrastructure is also improving. Some credit will go to that. When it comes to measurement of educational initiatives, one raw number that one gets due, especially when we're working in the villages, is number of students who are enrolled is as basic as that. Number of students who are enrolled in a given village. For instance, even now, a lot of children do not go to school. So our aim was to push students to at least start going to Anganwadi to begin with. That is where the enrollment is the first step of enrollment. Uh, Unfortunately, again, Nixon ji, I worked with Anganwadis during my stint with Vedanta also, and we discovered that the attraction for coming to Anganwadi for many children was the breakfast that was being provided. Even then, it was all right. At least they were getting used to going to school, getting used to sitting with other children, getting used to that community concept of schooling. And once people who visited these kids who visit Anganwadi, they are more likely to actually enroll into schools.
Okay.
So our measurement metrics was number of children who enroll into school. That was step number one. Step number two is then coming into foundational learning and as well as numeracy. Look at the stage we are moving from the ground zero to people not enrolling at all to going to Anganwadi to going to basic school and then getting into financial literacy and numeracy. But very very interesting thought and very interesting findings that you discover when you actually work on the ground.
Okay. See, Arun Arora ji, you are also a communications expert. You have seen Alpha, and I think you have also observed that Alpha is not known to many people. So, what are the strategies you suggest to us so that Alpha can be taken to India and to the world?
Again, very good question, Nixon ji. Uh, there was this Indian legacy of doing something good. Like they say in Hindi, अगर आपके दाएं हाथ से कुछ डोनेट करे हो तो आपके बाएं हाथ को नहीं पता होना चाहिए. Like for instance, if your right hand is doing something good, your left hand should not know.
True.
That used to be ancient Indian philosophy of doing something good, especially when it comes to philanthropy. In fact, even our own founder, we set a foundation just now because only 5 years ago, because he did not believe in talking about whatever good he was doing.
Okay.
He had set up a lot of schools, he had set up hospitals, dispensaries, he'd helped temples and whole lot of other stuff. But then he was embarrassed to be talking about it. He used to believe that If you do something, if you talk about something good that you've done, you demean the entire intention.
Mhm.
So that mindset has to change because now this sector is structured. Now sector has certain processes, system and processes, and these need to be scaled up. Therefore, in case we talk about it, then more people learn about it, then more NGOs, more corporates are also motivated and encouraged to follow suit. That is number one. Number two, from customers perspective also, now customers are becoming more and more aware of being righteous, following good governance practices. So they also tend to respect companies who are indulging in a lot of social activities, CSR activities, environmental activities, good ESG practices, sustainability practices. Also tend to see them positively from both perspective, from business case perspective and from social perspective. It's important that we speak about it and we let more and more people know. Very, you know, uh, I'm ashamed to say that before visiting your facility, I was also not too much aware about Devi Sansthan. In fact, when I got an invite from you, I checked your profile, then I checked Devi Sansthan profile, and I was kind of embarrassed that such a huge, big setup, perhaps world's largest school, that we are not aware of. So you're absolutely right. There's a need to communicate, and we are fortunate now these days we have very economical mode of communication that is available now, that is social media, as against our times when we used to be dependent upon print media or electronic media, which used to be very expensive. Now fortunately we have social media, and the next generation is hooked on to social media. So there is this need for setting up a digital center for Alpha of Devi Sansthan. I'm sure your team is doing a good job, but maybe it needs to be uh, enhanced. The efforts need to be enhanced. This focus has to go to uh, social volunteers amongst youngsters.
Okay.
One group of people can focus on tying up with corporates who do not know about it, asking them to visit. I don't know, Nixon ji, you must have heard about this organization called Goonj.
Good. Yes.
Goonj is floated by Anshu Gupta,
Shugupta,
who's
yes.
a Magsaysay Award winner. Yesterday, I was a jury member at Business World Do Good Awards, CSR Awards, and he was also part of the jury member. He was chairing the jury actually. So he was speaking at that forum, and he also spoke about the same thing that when he started Goonj, initially people did not know about Goonj. They thought, okay, old used clothes you give to Goonj, and they in turn will give it to people who need in the crisis situation. But he shared something very interesting. He spoke about the concept of dignity of CSR.
Mm.
He says whenever I give any stuff to some in some village, I make them work for it.
Yes.
So it is given as compensation for their hard work. He go to a village. He says, okay, you make a road in your village. All of you physically make a road, and you get this in return. And this is your wages. So there's no donation. He says, why should we donate? He shared something very interesting, and I was really impressed by that. He said, in case we're not doing a favor by talking about beneficiaries, they are trusting us, they are giving us our time, they are giving us an opportunity to serve them. So we are equals. Not that we are donors and they are recipients or they are beneficiaries. We are equal. We are choosing to do something good for our own conscience, and therefore they are giving us time, they are trusting us to let us enter their life and make a difference. Therefore, when we talk about Chetak's vision is to attempt to make a positive impact on the lives of underprivileged. So we
Mm.
are serving them. We are serving them. It's an opportunity they are giving us to do something good. It's a matter of being equals. But you're absolutely right. Not only Devi, all efforts of CSR communities and NGOs need to be spoken of, communicated as much as possible, so that people learn about it, people get motivated. And in fact, at this point of time, I don't know whether I can bring in one more idea. I often speak at various forums, and I often say that CSR has become so hyped up. Can we not bring in the concept of ISR, individual social responsibility?
Mm.
We are 1.45 billion people. If all of us ingrain that thought that I have some responsibility, Can I do something good for another person, whoever I feel is little less privileged than me?
True.
If all of us start doing that, it'll be a different India. It'll be a progressive India. The disparity will be far less. So going beyond asking what is that government can do, what is that corporate can do, what is that NGOs can do, what is that I can do. If I commit myself to do something that is good, something that helps, that gives me an opportunity to serve who's little less privileged than me in any form, financially, education wise, food wise, nutrition wise, health wise, intellect wise, it'll be a different world altogether.
In fact, Devi Sansthan's One Tara program is
Yes,
aligned to that individual social
social
responsibility,
responsibility.
where we tell each one teach one. Like
Absolutely.
anyone can volunteer to teach another person and
Correct.
bring change.
Correct.
And we provide all the digital contents, educational contents, etc. for that free of cost. So
Correct.
we have that Vantara initiative,
Very
which
nice.
everyone can adopt and practice. That is the thing.
Very
As
nice.
we come towards the end of this interaction,
One
I
more
see
point.
one.
One more point I'll make. Sorry, I get too passionate about it. Once I remember that was many years ago. Once it was my younger brother's birthday. Must have been 15, 20 years ago, and we were all excited. हम लोग यहाँ खाना खाने जाएंगे. We'll go to this restaurant. We'll go and celebrate. What my father suggested. कि Today let's go to old people's house and spend a day there. 15, 20 years ago.
Okay.
He took the entire family to a old people's home, and we spent the entire day with those elderly set of people. There were 55 elderly people. We spent the day with them. It was mind-boggling, heart-changing experience. It was such an amazing experience. So, as parents, in case we can encourage such practices amongst our kids, as corporates, in case we can encourage this practice. I know of certain corporates who give Saturday second half off, and they organize buses for their employees to volunteer. They send them to actual CSR locations wherein employees can spend some time there. They can come back, and these things are then recognized and published in their magazines also. So this culture has to percolate across. Sorry, so sorry. You There was a question that you wanted to ask.
So I find one question from one of the viewers
Yes,
who likes to know more about alpha. So I can tell that alpha means accelerating learning for all. It is an innovative pedagogy which has been found by Dr. Sunita Gandhi, wherein you can acquire foundational learning and numeracy skills within 45 days. It's a revolution because unlike the traditional programs where it may take 2 to 3 years for someone to become literate, this alpha pedagogy will help you acquire FLN or literacy within 45 days. And more details about our alpha can be obtained from our site devisanstan.org. So
and
thank you. Yes.
Nixon ji, I may add, Sahil, you had asked this question. I recently visited Devi Sansthan in Lucknow, and I attended this workshop wherein they give demonstration of alpha learning method. It's really amazing. You must visit their center in Lucknow, and you'll become a fan. Amazing method, such passionate teachers, passionate right from the founders. Look at Mrs. Sunita Gandhi, Dr. Sunita Gandhi, amazing. She herself was on stage almost for the entire 2 days.
Yes.
The kind of passion that they have and kind of methodology they have created is out of the world. I think maybe I wonder whether you have videos of such things and which you put up on your website, which can be seen by
Yes,
Sahil in case
yes.
they can't visit Lucknow.
We have videos and we'll be uploading it in our YouTube channel and also in our website also.
So
And
Sahil, I'm a fan of Alpha. Just visit Lucknow or visit their
I'm very
website to
happy,
visit.
excited to hear this.
Absolutely.
And, our next leadership circle will be on July 10th and 11th. So the viewers who want to see Alpha in person are welcome for this program. Thank you, Arun Arora ji, for this interaction. It was very informative, very interesting, and I have learned a lot. Also received a lot of suggestions from you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. I'm honored.
Thank you so much, sir. What an insightful conversation. I would like to encourage everyone here to take today's insight and as a call to action and to contribute in whichever way which is possible. Thank you so much and have a very good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grisha. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you, Nixon Lee. Amazing set of questions. And